Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to the next lesson. This one is called Leaders Make Mistakes. And it comes from a book called Leadership by Tom Peters. Now, Tom Peters is one of my favorite business writers. The reason I like Tom Peters is that he's very passionate. He's not a boring business person. Most business books are boring, but not Tom Peters. His books are excellent. And they're full of passionate, emotional language and words and emotional, passionate ideas about how to make business into something more, something special, not just greedy little people trying to get more money, but really trying to contribute and help people and do great things. So that's what Tom Peters writes about, and it's why I really like him. He's got a great website, tompeters.com, and he's got a lot of great books. And this book that I'm talking about today is called Leadership. And there's a little section, and the section is called Leaders Make Mistakes. So I'm going to read this small section, and then I'll talk about it more. So here we go. Leaders make mistakes, and they make no bones about it. On the wall of my writing studio in Vermont hangs a quotation by David Kelly. Fail faster, succeed sooner. Next to that quote hangs another by Diane Arbus, who told her students, learn not to be careful. In placid times, leaders may think they have all the answers. In turbulent times, leaders must have the best questions. Questions that encourage others to undertake voyages of mutual discovery. And the essence of that process is letting people screw up. If you try new stuff, you screw up. If you try a lot of new stuff, you screw up a lot. In fact, the best leaders make big mistakes. Mistakes are not enough. Big mistakes are mandatory. My all-time favorite PowerPoint slide is this. Reward excellent failures. Punish mediocre successes. These tumultuous times beg for bold initiatives. While thoughtless recklessness is not to be applauded, the word reckless must be examined carefully. Most people who change the world, Martin Luther King, Galileo, Picasso, they were indeed reckless, but not thoughtless. The Martin Luther Kings of the world, the Galileos, the Picassos, the Churchills, the de Gaulles, they attempted to create an entirely new world against long odds. If that ain't reckless, I don't know what the word means. Okay, that's the end of this section. Passionate language from Tom Peters, as always. What's he saying? Well, quite simply, he's saying that you have to try new things. You have to take risks in your life and business. And when you take risks, you will make mistakes. You will fail. Failure is mandatory. Mandatory means required. It means you must do it. You must make big mistakes. Because without big mistakes, you will never have big successes. He's saying that the essence of succeeding is failing. The people who succeed the most, the people who become the richest, or the companies that do the best, it doesn't matter what area of life, They're usually the people who have the biggest mistakes because they're always trying new stuff. They're always trying to do something much, much better, much bigger, much more interesting. And many times they fail. Many times they make mistakes. But they don't stop. They don't cry, I made a mistake, I failed. They learn from it. They look at the mistake, they learn, and then they try something else even better. And they keep doing that process again and again. They try something great, they fail, they learn, they think about it, then they try something else great. It never ends. Tom Peters says that is the process for huge success. That is the process that all leaders must follow. Leaders must make mistakes, and leaders must encourage their people, their team, to make mistakes also. I love this because it's absolutely true. It's what I follow in my own business. I've made so many mistakes when I started Effortless English, when I started the company. We started as a small membership site. But then that didn't work. It was a failure. It was a big failure. So we quit, and then we tried something else. We started recording the lessons and selling the lessons as a bundle, as a group. And then that worked, but our first website was really ugly. And so then eventually we improved the website. And then our lessons. When I first made my original lessons, the sound quality was not too good. I didn't have any money, so I had to record them in my apartment. But now we're in a recording studio, and these have a much better, higher quality sound. It's a never-ending process. As long as you try something new, as long as you try to be different, you're always going to make a mistake. Unfortunately, in school, people are taught to be afraid of mistakes. What happens in school if you make a mistake? You get a big red X. You fail your test. You fail on your paper. You get a bad grade. You get criticized by the teacher. You get in trouble with your parents. All of school is focused on teaching you to avoid mistakes. As you grew up going to school year after year, you were taught again and again, don't make mistakes, don't make mistakes, don't make mistakes. Don't try something new. Don't be different. School taught you to fail in life. They taught you not to fail on tests. They taught you not to fail at small things. But that belief will cause you to fail in your life. It means you'll never improve very much. You'll never be special. You'll never do anything great if you're afraid to make mistakes. If you want to have a great life, you absolutely must make mistakes. If you make big mistakes, you'll have a great, big, fantastic life. It doesn't matter if you like it. That is the truth. So you need to learn how to screw up, and you need to learn how to accept it and learn from it and do it again and again and again. That's Tom Peters' message. It's also my message. So please, don't be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are fantastic. That's why on our forums and in our master member site, I always tell people, write on the forums and communicate. Never worry about mistakes. I want to see mistakes on those forums. I like the students who write on our forums and they have mistakes. I like it. Why? Because most members never write anything because they're afraid. Most members do nothing. They never contribute. They never write anything because why? They're afraid they'll make a mistake. So they don't learn. They learn slowly because of fear. The people who are writing and making mistakes, they're the ones who learn faster. They're the best members. They're our master members. They're not afraid. They keep making mistakes again and again. They make a lot of mistakes when they write on the forums. Everyone can see their mistakes. They don't care. That's why they learn faster. That's why they improve more quickly. That's why they are our best members. They're the ones that I really, really love. The ones who are not afraid to make mistakes. The ones who make those mistakes every day and they just keep communicating. They keep on going. They never stop. They're the best students. And I try to follow this same philosophy myself in my business and as a teacher. As a teacher, I always try new things. When I was teaching in the classroom, I was always trying new activities, new approaches, new methods, constantly trying them. Most of them failed. Most of the time, the students didn't like it, or it was not effective. Did I stop? Did I cry? Oh no, I made a mistake. No, I did not. I learned, and then I tried something else, and I tried something else. So this effortless English system we have now is the result of many mistakes in the past. And I hope and I plan that in the future, the effortless English system will be even better because I will continue to try new stuff. We're playing with video now. We have a master member site which uses video. That's something new. Some of the videos are going to be bad. I'm going to make mistakes. I will always continue to make mistakes because I know that making mistakes is the key to growth. It's the key to improvement. It's the key to innovation. It's the key to big success. You need to learn that too. So this is my message to you. Do not be afraid. Get on the forums now, today, and write something. Anything. Write about your life. Write about what you like to do. Write about music. Write about movies. I don't care. Write anything. Make mistakes. Make grammar mistakes. Make spelling mistakes. That's the way you will improve, and that's the way you will get stronger as an English speaker. If you do nothing, if you refuse to write, if you're afraid to make mistakes, you're going to learn slowly. So that's my challenge to you. Every day, at least every week, get on the forums and write something. And make mistakes. Do not correct your mistakes. Don't worry about it. Don't look at a grammar book. You just write something, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and boom, you hit enter. You publish it with the mistakes. Let everyone see the mistakes. That is my challenge to you. That's what you must do if you are serious. If you really want to improve as an English learner, if you really want to speak better and write better and understand better, that's what you must do. You must write on the forums every week, every day, with mistakes. I hope you'll do that. If you do that, if you do it a lot, then you can become one of our master members. And master members, I email them personally sometimes because they're my favorite members. They're the ones I really love, so I like to give my attention to them. If you do nothing, if you sit and you stay quiet, you're afraid to make a mistake, well, you're just not going to learn very fast. So make your decision. I hope you'll decide to be strong, to be brave, and to make mistakes so you will improve very quickly. I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Hi, this is AJ. Welcome to the vocabulary lesson for Leaders Make Mistakes. Let's go to the beginning. We have a phrase. They make no bones about it. Tom Peters says, leaders make mistakes and they make no bones about it. So that's a little idiom there, to make no bones about something. When you say they make no bones about it, it means they don't apologize for it. Or they don't try to hide it. They don't feel bad about it. That's the meaning of this phrase. It means you do something and you're not worried about it. You don't apologize for it. You don't feel bad about it. You don't try to hide it. You feel good. So it says they make mistakes and they make no bones about it. It means they make mistakes and they don't feel bad about making the mistakes. They feel good. They make mistakes and they don't apologize. They don't say, I'm sorry I made a mistake. Right? They make no bones about it. They do not apologize. They are direct and honest about it. They don't try to hide it. They don't feel bad about it. And they don't apologize. They make no bones about making mistakes. They don't apologize for making mistakes. They don't try to hide their mistakes. They don't feel bad about their mistakes. They make no bones about it. Okay, then a little later, he says, in placid times, leaders can pretend to have the answers. Okay, placid. Placid means calm. Calm. C-A-L-M. Calm. So it means nothing's changing, right? Everything is calm and slow and relaxed. So during placid times in the economy, in history, when everything is calm, then the leaders can pretend they are strong. They can pretend they are perfect. They can pretend they know everything. Right? So in calm times, leaders could, in the past, pretend to know everything. They could pretend to be perfect. But he says, in turbulent times, leaders must have the best questions, not the best answers. They can't pretend to know everything. Instead, they have to ask a lot of questions, always asking questions, asking questions. So that's what happens in turbulent times, what must happen in turbulent. Now, turbulent, of course, is the opposite of placid. Turbulent means not calm. It means rough or changing fast. Chaotic. So in chaotic times, in rough, difficult times, in times when everything is changing quickly, in turbulent times, turbulent. Turbulent is the opposite of calm. Turbulent, not calm. And Tom says that these questions that leaders ask, they ask everybody questions all the time. The questions must encourage other people to undertake voyages of mutual discovery. What does that mean? Undertake voyages of mutual discovery. Well, to undertake means to start doing something. So to undertake a voyage means to start a voyage. And a voyage is a trip. It's a journey, a trip. So he's saying you must encourage other people to take a trip, to start a trip, to undertake, to start. So again, to undertake something means to start something, usually something that takes a long time. So you're going to start something and it's going to take a while to finish it, to undertake. And you're going to undertake a voyage. Again, a voyage is a journey. It's a trip. Now, he's not talking about a real trip like New York to Los Angeles. He's talking about an emotional trip, an intellectual trip. It means changing what happens in your mind. So a trip, a voyage of mutual discovery. Mutual means shared. It means it's something you do together with other people. So, for example, you have a team. You want your team to take a trip together, a mutual trip. Mutual. Together means everybody shares it. It happens to everybody. That's mutual. Mutual means shared or happening to everybody. And finally, the word discovery means learning. Learning or to find new things. Find something new, learn something new. So that whole phrase, which is a little difficult, to undertake voyages of mutual discovery, to start a trip of shared learning. So what he's saying is leaders encourage their people to learn new things together. Leaders encourage their people to try new things together. That's what he means. And he says, the essence of trying new stuff is letting people screw up. All right, essence means the core, the most important idea. It's what's most important. So the most important part of trying new stuff, the most important idea, the most important point of trying new stuff is letting people screw up. To screw up means to make a mistake or to fail. To screw up means to fail or to make a mistake. You say, "Oh, I screwed up." It means I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I screwed up. To screw up means to make a mistake. He says you must screw up. You must make mistakes. If you're a leader, you must encourage your people to screw up. You must encourage them to make mistakes. Help them to make mistakes. Congratulate them when they make big, interesting mistakes. Encourage them to screw up. Our next word is mandatory. He says big mistakes are mandatory. Mandatory means required and necessary. Something you must do. It is mandatory to make mistakes. It means you must make mistakes. It is required. It is necessary to make mistakes. It is mandatory. If you want to succeed, if you want your business to grow and be great, well, then you must make big mistakes. Big mistakes are mandatory if you want big success. And a great phrase, he says, reward excellent failures. Punish mediocre successes. Mediocre means normal, average. Not great, not terrible, just in the middle. So he says, punish people for mediocre success, for so-so success, for average, normal success. Tom Peters says that average and normal are bad. They will hurt your business. Instead, reward excellent, great, big failures. Next, we have the phrase, to be applauded. He says, thoughtless recklessness is not to be applauded. To be applauded means to be rewarded, to be congratulated, to be complimented. Right? Applauding means clapping your hands like this. I'm applauding right now. Yay! Yay! Right? It means to be cheered, to be valued, to be applauded, to be complimented, to be rewarded. They all mean similar things. So he's saying don't applaud, don't congratulate, don't reward. Don't applaud thoughtless recklessness. It means just random. Thoughtless means you don't think about it. And reckless means taking big risks. To take big, big risks. Someone who is reckless, they don't care about failing at all. If reckless means you don't care about the risks, you're totally not afraid. Taking a big chance. That's reckless. So he's saying reckless or recklessness is the noun. It's very good if it's thoughtful. People who think about being reckless, people who think about taking big risks, people who think about trying something very different. If they think about it carefully and they really think about it and they have a plan, well, that's great. And he gives examples. Martin Luther King and Galileo and Picasso, they were reckless. They tried very different, almost crazy things at that time in their life, in history. And they succeeded, but they were thoughtful. They thought about it carefully. And he says, against long odds, they tried to create an entirely new world. against long odds. It means against difficult challenges, against difficult problems. It means there's a low chance to succeed. The chance to succeed is very small. So against long odds, it means you're going against what is normal. It means you're going against what is probable. You're probably going to fail, right? If you go against long odds, if you go against what is normal, if you go against what is probable. So all these people, they tried something against long odds. It means they probably were going to fail. Most people thought they would fail. And finally, we have the word ain't. Ain't. He said, if that ain't reckless, I don't know what the word means. So ain't is really just means is not or am not or are not. And it's a very casual, very, very casual way to say is not or am not. Say, I ain't hungry means I am not hungry. Or he ain't handsome means he is not handsome. So ain't, again, is very, very casual. It does not sound intelligent. It does not sound intellectual. It's really the opposite. It's kind of very emotional, very, very, very casual. That's ain't. It means am not or are not or is not. You can use it for all of those. He ain't hungry. I ain't hungry. They ain't hungry. Okay, that is the end of the vocabulary for leaders make mistakes. See you next time. Bye-bye. Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to the mini story for leaders make mistakes. Let's start. There were 2 penguins. Their names were Todd and Lewis. Todd and Lewis were penguins. They lived in Antarctica. Where did Todd and Lewis, the penguins, live? They lived in Antarctica. Did they live in Florida or Antarctica? Well, they lived in Antarctica. What were Todd and Lewis? Well, they were penguins. Todd and Lewis were penguins. Were they ducks? No, they weren't. They weren't ducks. They were penguins. Todd and Lewis were penguins, and they lived in Antarctica. How is the weather in Antarctica? Well, it's cold. The weather is always very cold in Antarctica. Did Todd and Lewis like the cold? Well, they were penguins, but they did not like the cold. Todd and Lewis didn't like the cold. They were strange penguins. What didn't they like? Well, they didn't like the cold. Todd and Lewis, the penguins, didn't like the cold. In fact, Todd and Lewis wanted to buy a beach resort in Thailand. What did they want to buy? They wanted to buy a beach resort. Where did they want to buy a beach resort? In Thailand. They wanted to buy a beach resort in Thailand. And who? Who wanted to buy a beach resort in Thailand? Todd and Lewis, the penguins. Todd and Lewis, the penguins, wanted to buy a beach resort in Thailand. In fact, they told all the other penguins. They said, We make no bones about it. We hate the cold. Did they apologize because they hated the cold? No, they didn't apologize. They said, we make no bones about it. We don't feel bad about it. We're not going to apologize. We make no bones about it. We hate the cold. What did Todd and Lewis say to the other penguins? They said, we make no bones about it. We hate the cold. Did they try to hide their feelings? No, they said, we make no bones about it. They were open. They were direct. We make no bones about it. We hate the cold. They were strong and direct. Well, one day they decided to leave Antarctica. Against long odds, they undertook the long, dangerous journey to Thailand. Was it probable that they would succeed? No, it was not probable. Probably they would fail. Against long odds, they started the trip. Would they probably succeed or would they probably fail? They would probably fail, right? They were going against long odds. Against long odds. Against difficult challenges. Against probable failure. Against long odds. So against long odds, they undertook a long trip from Antarctica to Thailand. Did they finish a long trip from Antarctica to Thailand? No, they didn't finish. They started. They undertook. They began. They undertook a long trip, a dangerous trip, a difficult trip from Antarctica to Thailand. What did they undertake? They undertook a trip from Antarctica to Thailand. And who? Lewis and Todd. Lewis and Todd undertook a long trip from Antarctica to Thailand. And what were they? What were Todd and Lewis? They were penguins. Todd and Lewis were penguins who undertook a long, dangerous trip from Antarctica to Thailand. They swam in the ocean going north. And one night, there was a big storm. The ocean was turbulent and very cold. During the storm, was the ocean calm? No, it wasn't calm. It was turbulent. The ocean was turbulent. It was not calm. Why was the ocean turbulent? Well, because there was a storm. The ocean was turbulent because there was a storm. How was the ocean? It was turbulent. The ocean was very turbulent. Big storm. There were big, big waves. It was turbulent and cold and dangerous. The storm was very long. The storm lasted 20 days. 20 days and 20 nights. The ocean was turbulent. Big, big waves crashing. The water was cold. Todd and Lewis continued to swim. Todd yelled, "We ain't quitting! We're going to Thailand! We ain't gonna quit!" Would they quit? No, they would not quit. Todd yelled, "We ain't quitting! We are not quitting! We ain't gonna quit! We will not quit!" They continued to swim. They didn't quit. What did Todd say? He yelled, "We ain't quitting! We're going to Thailand! Nothing can stop us! We ain't gonna quit!" And they did not quit. They continued to swim during the storm, going north to Thailand. And finally, after 20 long, difficult days, the storm stopped. The ocean became calm and placid. Did the ocean become turbulent? No, it didn't. It became placid, very calm. What became placid? The ocean. The ocean became very placid, very, very calm. Did it become turbulent or did it become placid? It became placid. The ocean became very placid. And the water became very, very warm. Warm and placid. And then they saw it. They saw Thailand! They arrived in Thailand! Todd and Lewis the penguins made it to Thailand. They swam through the placid, warm water, and they arrived on a beach. Where did they arrive? They arrived on a beach in Thailand. Who arrived on a beach in Thailand? Todd and Lewis. Todd and Lewis arrived on a beach in Thailand. What arrived on a beach in Thailand? Two penguins, two strange penguins, arrived on a beach in Thailand. Their names were Todd and Lewis. Immediately, Todd and Lewis said, "We want to buy this beach." Of course, they were rich penguins, and they bought the beach. What did they buy? They bought the beach in Thailand. Who bought the beach in Thailand? Todd and Lewis, the very rich penguins. Where did they buy a beach? In Thailand. They bought a beach in Thailand. What did they buy in Thailand. A beach. They bought a beach in Thailand. And they built a huge, beautiful resort. And every day, Todd and Louis, the penguins, laid on the beach in the sun next to the warm, placid waters of Thailand. They were very relaxed, very warm, and very, very happy penguins. What were they? They were warm, relaxed, happy penguins. Why were they warm, relaxed, happy penguins? Because every day they laid on a beach in Thailand, under the sun. Who laid on a beach in Thailand, under the sun, every day? Todd and Louis the penguins. Todd and Louis the penguins laid under the sun every day on a beach in Thailand, next to placid, warm waters. And they were happy, warm, wonderful penguins. That is the end of the mini-story for Leaders Make Mistakes. See you next time. Bye-bye. Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to the POV, Point of View. Stories for Leaders Make Mistakes. Same story. Let's begin. Number 1. There were 2 penguins named Todd and Louis. Todd and Louis were normal penguins when they were young. When they were young, they were very normal penguins. They liked to eat fish, and they liked the cold weather. However, 5 years ago, they changed. Since that time, they have hated the cold. Since 5 years ago, they have complained about the cold every day. Since 5 years ago, they have dreamed of Thailand. They have wanted to buy a beach resort in Thailand. Since that time, 5 years ago, they have talked about buying a beach in Thailand. Every day they have told the other penguins, "We make no bones about it. We hate the cold." Starting 5 years ago and continuing every day, they have told the penguins the same thing. Every day they have said to everybody else, to all the other penguins, "We make no bones about it. We hate the cold." They have done this again and again and again and again. The other penguins thought they were very strange. Until one day, finally, they undertook the long trip to Thailand. Against long odds, they began. Against long odds, they undertook the long and dangerous trip from Antarctica to Thailand. They swam north. And one day a big storm came. And the ocean was very turbulent and dangerous. There were big, big waves. It was extremely turbulent. But they continued to swim north to Thailand. And Todd yelled, "We ain't gonna quit. We ain't quitting. We'll get to Thailand. We won't stop." And so they continued to swim. The storm continued for 20 days. And Todd and Lewis continued to swim through the turbulent ocean during the entire 20 days of the storm. Until one day, the storm stopped. And the ocean became very placid and calm. The water became warm. And they saw Thailand. They arrived in Thailand. They immediately swam to a beach. They climbed onto the beach, and immediately they bought it because they were very rich penguins. They bought the beach in Thailand. And they built a huge, magnificent resort. And every day they laid on the beach under the sun next to the calm and placid waters of Thailand. They were warm, happy, and feeling great. And that is the end of the first POV story. Next, into the future. This is my little idea for a story about the future. I'm going to tell you about it. Are you ready? Let's do it. In the future, maybe 10 years from now, there will be two penguins. Two strange penguins. Their names will be Todd and Lewis. Todd and Lewis won't be normal. They won't be the same as other penguins. They won't like the cold. In fact, they're going to hate the cold. They'll have a dream. They're going to want to buy a beach resort in Thailand. And they're not going to make bones about this dream. They're not going to apologize. They're not going to hide it. They're going to say, "We make no bones about it. We hate the cold." They'll tell everybody. They're going to tell all the other penguins about their dream. And one day, they'll decide to do it. Against long odds, they will undertake the long and dangerous trip to Thailand. They'll swim, and they'll swim, and they'll swim. And then one day a big storm will come. The ocean will become very turbulent. But they're not going to quit. They'll keep going. The storm will last for 20 days and 20 nights. But they'll keep swimming. And Todd's going to yell, "We ain't quitting. We ain't gonna stop. We're going to Thailand." And they will. They will continue. They'll keep swimming through the storm, through the turbulent ocean, until one day the storm will stop. The storm's going to stop suddenly. And the ocean will become very placid and calm. And the water will become very warm. And they will see Thailand. They will arrive in Thailand finally. And they will swim to the beach. They'll come up onto the beach and they'll yell, "We want to buy this beach right now!" Because, of course, they're going to be extremely rich penguins. And they'll do it. They'll buy the beach. And then they'll build a magnificent, huge resort on the beach. And every day they're going to lay on the beach under the warm sun next to the placid waters of Thailand. They'll be warm and happy and relaxed. The end. That is the end of the POV stories for leaders make mistakes. As always, listen to these lessons every day for 1 week or 2 weeks, or more if you want. More is okay, less is not okay. So deep learning, deep learning, deep learning, and always have energy in your body, energy in your mind when you listen. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.